Hello, dear students, and a very good morning to all of you. I hope all of you are fine and doing well. Today, I am back here with the second part of the history chapter that we were doing, and that is chapter number 7, that is colonialism and Indian industries. Today, I am providing you the second part, and this is the last part of this video. Students, in the previous part of this chapter, we have learned about what is industrialization. We have seen that what was the effect of colonialism on the Indian industries and Indian artisans, craftsperson or weavers. We have also seen that what happened to the cotton textile industry of India, and we have also seen the deindustrialization and again the rising up of Indian industries, or we can say that rising up of modern Indian industries in India. Okay, now here we are going to learn about one more industry for which India was known, and that industry was Indian iron and steel industry. So students, if we will talk about iron and steel, so India is having a good deposit of iron ore, and for that only India is known for the production of iron and steel both. Now, if we will talk about the production of iron and steel, so here I want to explain you that the iron or steel that we are using today, that or it is manufactured with the help of machineries nowadays in industries, but earlier, or if we will talk about the colonial era or before the colonial era, iron and steel was manufactured at a very small scale. That means the people, those who were living in the areas or in the areas where iron ore deposits were available, those people only used to manufacture pig iron with the help of, or there was a traditional method of manufacturing iron that I will explain you further, that how Indian people, those who are living in the forest where there is iron ore deposits available, how they were manufacturing iron and steel at that time. Okay, so here I want to show you the importance of Indian steel and iron metallurgy. Now you will ask me, what is the meaning of metallurgy? So metallurgy is basically the scientific study of metals. Okay, that how much metal should be mixed with which metal. Okay, which metal will give more durability, which two kind of metal if we will mix, so the weapons become more durable. India was very well known about the iron metallurgy at that time. About that only we are going to learn, that how India was knowing about it that time. So basically, what is metallurgy? Metallurgy is the scientific study of metals and their uses. That means how metals can be mixed with each other, how metals के alloys can be made, and how metals can be used. That is only metallurgy. Here I want to explain you about, or I want to introduce you about the woods steel of India. India was known for its woods steel. Now you will ask me, what is woods steel? So basically woods steel is an steel that we will see, I mean, which type of steel it is. In this picture you can see there is a sword, and this sword belongs to Tipu Sultan. This particular sword is of Tipu Sultan. Okay, and it is believed that the legendary sword of Tipu Sultan was made of a special type of high carbon steel called woods steel. That means the woods steel has a very high carbon content in it, and there is a traditional method of manufacturing this steel. So here if we will talk about, as you can see, this is the picture of the Tipu Sultan's swords, and it was very sharp. Okay, it is said that it feels like uh, it had a flowing water pattern on it. It is very thin and very sharp. Okay, it is believed that when Tipu Sultan was fighting with the Britishers, okay, at that time only he died with this sword only, and Britishers have taken this sword with them to England. This sword was kept for a very long time in the Museum of England. Later on, I think in 2004, Vijay Mallya buy or purchase this sword from there. Okay, so let us understand what is woods steel, that we will see. So look here, what is Indian woods steel? Here on the right hand side, the diagram that you can see, or the picture that you can see, is furnace. Okay, this is a furnace. So woods steel is crucible steel characterized by a pattern of bands and high carbon content. That means it is having a band. It is having band means since sword, majorly iron and steel were used for manufacturing weapons, and weapons should have sharp texture. Okay, they have the sword should be very thin. Okay, so wood steel was basically a type of steel in which the carbon content is more. So now how this wood steel is manufactured? This wood steel is manufactured by heating the iron ore with, or iron with charcoal or with wood. Basically with charcoal or with wood, the iron is heated, and with the mixture of it, wood steel formed. So it was manufactured majorly in the parts of South India, since Tipu Sultan belongs to Mysore. So this type of steel was basically manufactured in South India during the 19th century. Now, how wood steel was manufactured at the time? How this wood steel was manufactured? So basically, woods was prepared in smelting furnaces in Mysore. Now the question arises, what is smelting? So basically, what is smelting? Smelting is a process of heating any metal. Smelting is a process of heating any ore to its melting point so that metal can be extracted. Suppose that iron ore, ठीक है, we should heat the iron ore to its melting point so that we can extract iron from it. So the process of heating or obtaining a metal from a rock by heating it to a very high temperature or by heating it to its melting point to get the metal from it, that is only the smelting. So this is the furnace in which the process of smelting was done. The metal ore is heated to its melting point for obtaining the metal. Okay, so this is all about the furnace. In these furnaces, iron was mixed with charcoal and put inside some clay pots. So basically in furnaces, in some clay pot, iron and wood or charcoal is mixed and it is heated to its melting point. Through an integrate control of temperature, the smelters produce steel ingots that were used for making swords. Ingots matlab the pieces of iron, the pieces of iron or steel, as you can see in the picture. These are the clay pot furnaces. As you can see, the reddish mixture, so that is the red hot iron ore. Okay, that is the red hot iron from which steel is manufacturing, and you can see this is the wood's ingot. This is the piece of steel that is used, that only they used to beat for making the swords. So this is how they used to manufacture wood's steel. Now, as I have explained you about this was the condition of the traditional Indian industries that used to manufacture steel or iron. Okay, now here I am going to explain you that what was the reason for the declination of the traditional smelting in India. The traditional process of smelting or producing iron or steel that declined in India, and we will see that what were the reasons for the declination of the traditional smelting in India. So the first reason was that as the Britishers came to India, we have learned about the effect of colonialism on tribal communities, as we were knowing that the tribal communities used to live in the forest, and Britishers, what they did, they passed certain acts over forest. They passed certain acts over forest, and due to those laws or act, the entry or the access of the Indian people was restricted towards the forest. The very first was that the colonial government introduced new forest laws and restricted people to enter the reserve forest. As I have explained you during the Zoom classes, that various forest act was introduced by the government, by the British government, and they declared some of the forest as reserved and some of the forest as protected forest. Now, if we will talk about the reserve forest, the reserve forest were basically the forest where no one was allowed access, okay, where no one was allowed to enter. And there was some protected forest also where only some people were allowed to enter or at a particular time with the permission of the government. So due to this only, the people were not allowed to utilize the forest products, as well as they were also not allowed to use the iron ore deposits that were existing in the forest areas. So due to this only, the traditional smelting was declined, and since okay, let us see the next one. Iron smelters could not find wood for charcoal and iron ore since the entry in the forest was restricted by the Britishers. So that is why the smelters did not found wood for charcoal and iron ore. Okay. The next reason was this, that in some areas the government also allowed to enter the forest but in return collect high taxes on the furnaces. Now if some of them were allowed to put the furnaces, so for furnace also, for establishing or putting the furnace for manufacturing iron, the Indian people has to pay heavy taxes that they were not able to afford. The next reason, if we will see, by the late 19th century, iron and steel were being imported from Britain, and this only happened due to the industrial revolution in Britain. By the late 19th century, Britain manufactured iron and steel came to India, or the steel was imported from Britain. So due to all this, the demand for iron produced by local indigenous Indian smelters declined because of tough competition from British steel. Okay, now let us move further. One more thing is that iron smiths in India began using the imported iron to manufacture utensils and implements. Even our Indian people have also started purchasing or the imported iron only or steel only, so that reduces the domestic market. By the beginning of the 20th century, there was a number of abundant furnaces in villages. That means people have stopped producing iron in their villages, and now the local manufacturer of iron and steel left their traditional smelting process. Okay, now here we are going to learn a new term, and that new term is deindustrialization. So as I have explained you earlier also, the deindustrialization is just opposite of industrialization, and deindustrialization means the disintegration or declination of traditional industries. That only happened in India with the cotton industry also, and again that only happened with the iron and steel industry also. So here you can see deindustrialization refers to decline of traditional industries, the decline of the textile and iron industries and many other handicrafts which were produced for large scale trade between India and the rest of the world led to deindustrialization. We have seen that how the traditional cotton industry was also declined. We have seen that how the traditional iron smelting industry was also declined. So let us move further, and here development of modern industries we are going to learn. Okay, so if we will talk about that how the modern industry developed in India, so during the second half of the 19th century, modern machine based industries started coming up India. Now during the second half of the 19th century, new industries, that means the machine made industries, started setting up in India, and the credit of setting up these industries was given or should be given to the rich entrepreneurs of India. The rich entrepreneurs or rich owners of India, those who were rich, they started setting up of industries in India. Some of them established the industries with the help of Britishers, and some of them owned the industries on their individuality, means separately. Most of them were also owned by the Britishers. So let us move further. First we will talk about the cotton mills. So students, if I will talk about the cotton mills, so here I want to explain you one thing, that during the early 1860s, a civil war broke out in USA. Okay, a civil war was broke out in USA. That means the people of USA were against the government, and the supply of cotton to Britain from USA fell drastically, and that is why USA was not able to sell or supply cotton to Britain. Okay, and that is why, since the supply of cotton from USA to Britain declined, that is why Britain was not able to manufacture enough cotton textile. Okay, now the question arises that why the supply of cotton from USA declined, since civil war broke out in USA. So the common people, those who were growing cotton, they refused. Okay, they refused to grow cotton, and that is why the supply of cotton from USA to Britain declined. As a result, there was sharp increase in India's raw cotton export to Britain, and that is why, since USA stopped supplying cotton, so that is why now Britain started moving towards India for the supply of raw cotton. Okay, now we will see that The first cotton textile spinning mill was set up in India by Kawasji Nanaboy in 1854 in Bombay. If we will talk about the modern industry, so the first cotton mill industry was set up by Kawasji Nanaboy in 1854. Okay, the place was Bombay. Later on in 1877, Jamshedji Tata also established a new mill, that is Empress Mill at Nagpur, and slowly various mills started settling up in India, and by 1900 there were about 87 cotton mills operating in India. So have you seen that how the number of cotton mills started increasing in India? Okay, since now let us see, this is the picture of Kawasji Nanaboy. Now we will see what was the result, okay, of the increasing industries, cotton mill industries. Many of these industries were basically set up by Parsis and Gujarati businessmen who had made their money through trade with China. Okay, since they were very rich entrepreneurs or businessmen, they were having money from where they have earned this money. So they have earned this money through trade with China. Okay, and since they used to sell yarns, that means threads, to China, and from there only they have earned money. Since lots of industries were settling up in India, ultimately it led to a demand of labor. Since industries set up, that means it needs labor, and it increases the demand for labor, and thousands of poor peasants or artisans, those who were jobless, it provided jobs to those people. So again people started moving towards the city areas from the village areas to work in these mills. So this is how industries develop, and this is how the condition of the artisan, peasants, craft persons started improving little bit with the establishment of modern industries. Okay, now let us move further. What was the reasons for the development of cotton industries in India? Here we will see that how suddenly the cotton industries in India started developing. Okay, so reason for that, in 1914 the First World War broke out. Okay, as the First World War broke out, Britain was busy in that war. Okay, so that is why the import of British clothes to India declined. Since war was going on and that war prolonged from 1914, that war took 2-3 years. Okay, it took enough time, and since the clothes of Britain was needed in the war supply, and that is why Britain was not able to import clothes to India, and the import declined. As war prolonged, Indian factories were called upon to supply war needs like the cloth for manufacturing tent, for manufacturing the clothes of the or uniforms of the soldiers. So that only Indian factories were called upon. Okay, so by the first decade of the 20th century, a series of changes affected the pattern of industrialization. That means the cotton industry, the demand for Indian cotton increases suddenly, and that only slowly when we will see about when we will learn about the freedom struggle, at that time we will learn about the Swadeshi movement. Okay, according to the Swadeshi movement, the Indian people started boycotting the British made goods. That also increases the demand of Indian cotton textile. Now let us move further and check out that what were the reasons for the development of cotton industries in India, as we have seen that the cotton industries declined once and again the industries were settling up in modern industry of cotton mills were settling up in India. What was the reason for that? So students, here I want to explain you some of the reason. The very first reason was the outbreak of the First World War. The First World War took place in 1914, and at the time only, since Britain was busy in that war, due to the First World War, the import of British clothes to India declined. So the very first reason was that the First World War broke out, and due to which the import of British clothes to India declined. Okay, now this is now why that the demand that declined. It was because since Britain was busy and the supply for the war was needed to the soldiers. That means the textile that was producing by Britain was utilizing by the soldiers, that those who were participating or those who were fighting in that world war. So that is why the import declined to India. And if we will talk about, as the war prolonged, and since that war continued from 1914 to 1918, and as the war prolonged, the supplies from Britain also become less, and that is why they started moving towards the Indian factories. They called upon the Indian factories to supply war needs like the uniforms of the soldiers as well as the cloths for making the tent and all. They started approaching towards the Indian factories only for fulfilling the demand of the textile for their war. Okay, so by the first decade, not only this much, as we will see, as we will learn further, so we will learn about that during the freedom struggle, when we were fighting or when we were ready to throw out the Britishers from India, at that time also we have started several movements like boycott movement and Swadeshi movement, that basically focuses on the utilization of the Indian made goods. Okay, Indian made goods, and by that only we have started boycotting the British made goods. So by the first decade of 20th century, a series of changes affected the pattern of industrialization. People started boycotting foreign clothes, and hence the demand for Indian cloth increases. They have started boycotting foreign made clothes, and they have started using the clothes that were manufactured in India. Okay, so all these were the reasons for the increase in the demand of the Indian cotton textile, and that only led to the development of cotton industries in India. Okay, now here I am going to introduce two personalities. The first picture that you will see is the picture of Jamshedji Tata. The first picture is the picture of Jamshedji Tata, and the second picture is his eldest son, Darobji Tata. Okay, so why I am introducing about these two personalities, because both of them were a very renowned entrepreneurs of India. All of you are knowing that the name of Tata is still considered as a very renowned company in India. Okay, so the first, now here we are going to talk about the first iron and steel factory in India. Okay, so here we will learn about the first modern iron and steel factory that is established in India, that we will see. So basically, Jamshedji Tata, okay, his eldest son named Darobji Tata, credited for the establishment of the first iron and steel factory of India, that we will see. So firstly, it was during the April month in 1904, Charles Weld, okay, and Darobji Tata with a person, or we can say that with the geographer Charles Weld, Darobji Tata was traveling in search of iron ore deposits to set up iron and steel factory. Darobji Tata decided to set up an iron and steel factory. As we have learned in the geography chapter of major industries, we have learned that the heavy industries are basically set up in the area where the raw materials are easily available. So for the purpose of setting up of iron and steel factory, it was very important to search out the iron ore deposits. Okay, when they were moving from one place to another in Jharkhand, there only they met with a community. Okay, the name of that community was Agariyas. Now here I am going to introduce you that who were the Agariyas. So if we will talk about Agariyas, so here you can see the picture. As I have explained you that the Indian people were basically manufacturing the iron or steel with traditional method. Okay, so the people, those who were manufacturing steel and iron with traditional method, they were only the Agariyas. So before the colonial rule in India, a community of people called Agariyas used small furnaces made of earth, that means made up of clay and rice husk in their homes to make iron by smelting iron ore. So these were the community of the people, those who were manufacturing iron and steel in their homes only. Basically they use small furnaces, and in those furnaces only they used to manufacture iron in their own homes. So who were the Agariyas? So Agariyas were an Indian community of iron smelters. The iron produced by Agariyas were pure wrought iron. The iron that they produced were pure wrought iron. Okay, that was pure without any mixture. So let us move further. Now let us see, while searching of a proper place where the good amount of iron deposits available, there only Darobji Tata decided to set up his industry. And while searching of a place, he found a place near river Subarna Rekha, and there only he cleared a large area of forest for setting up his industry, that is iron and steel industry, and for setting up the town, that is industrial township Jamshedpur. Today also that place is famous as an industrial township only, Jamshedpur, that is in Jharkhand. Now present day location of that place is Darobji Tata set up Tata Iron and Steel Industry, a company. It named as TISCO. The short form of Tata Iron and Steel Company is TISCO. And if we will talk about the present location, so it is in Sakshi near Jharkhand. Okay, so this company was set up in 1907. And if we will talk about the production of iron and steel, so this company started producing iron in 1911 and it started producing steel in 1912. Okay, so let us move further, and here the question arises that how TISCO became popular. Like we have seen that how the Indian cotton mill started gaining popularity, or how the production of cotton increases in India, like that only we will see that how the TISCO became a successful manufacturing unit in India. So at that time only, the first reason was that only, since the first world war broke out in 1914, it created a heavy demand for TISCO steel, and that is why the Britain, the country, needs a very high amount of iron and steel for manufacturing the weapons, and for that purpose only the demand for TISCO steel increases. The next reason was that as the war prolonged, as the war continued for many years, the British import to India also declined. The import of steel and iron also declined, and that is only the reason that it increases the demand of Indian steel. Therefore, the British government in India had to depend on TISCO for its steel. So like that only, the British government started depending upon the TISCO only for the need of steel. Now one more reason, and the very important reason for the development of TISCO or Tata Iron and Steel Company at that time, was the expansion of Indian railways. As you are knowing that the Britishers got the credit of introducing Indian railways to India. In 1853, they set up the first railway line. So since they wanted to expand the railways, and for the expansion of railways, railway line should be laid down, and for the purpose of laying the railway lines, a lot of amount of steel and iron was needed, and due to this only it increases, or the expansion of railways increases the demand of iron and steel in India for the laying of railway lines. So this was the reason that why the TISCO gained its popularity, and there was a time when TISCO becomes one of the leading producer of or Indian owned steel producing unit in India. Okay, so like this only the Indian textile industry and the Indian iron and steel industry started developing in India, and it provide job opportunities to a large number of people. Okay, and this slowly it was in we can say that it was stabilizing the economy of India. Okay, so this chapter is completed now. I hope all of you are able to understood, as I have already explained this chapter in Zoom classes. Please watch the video, fill your book exercises properly, go through the chapter, and you can ask your queries through comment box also and during the Zoom classes also. I hope this chapter is clear to you, and if you have any problem you can ask. So stay at home, since the corona is again in the corona cases in India is again increasing. So that is why take precautions and stay home. Do not go outside without any urgent work, and stay healthy, students. So thank you everyone.